Very good morning, students. Today, let us discuss a very important question for board examination, that is moving coil galvanometer. Moving coil galvanometer. Simply we will call it as MCG. Moving coil galvanometer, simply we will call it as MCG. Actually, it was devised by Kelvin. It was devised by Kelvin, later modified by D. Arsonval. The purpose of designing this moving coil galvanometer is to measure the small amounts of current. Of the order 10 power minus 9 amperes. Very small amounts of currents can be measured with the help of moving coil galvanometer. It works on the principle that whenever you keep a current carrying coil in a magnetic field, it experiences some torque. In the last concept, we discussed the torque experienced by a rectangular coil carrying current kept in a magnetic field. The same principle is used in the construction of moving coil galvanometer. It is a most sensitive instrument. And let us see the construction of the instrument. So once again you tell me, what is moving coil galvanometer? Moving coil galvanometer is an instrument which is used to measure small amounts of current of the order 10 power minus 9 amperes. It was designed by Kelvin, modified by D. Arsonval. It works on the principle of torque acting on a rectangular current carrying loop in magnetic field. Let us see the construction of this moving coil galvanometer. Here we will consider a wire made with phosphor branch. There is a torsion head here. From the torsion head, this phosphor branch wire is attached. And at the end of this phosphor branch wire, we will have a rectangular coil of wire which is kept over a cylindrical object as shown in figure. Actually, we will take soft iron cylinder. This soft iron cylinder is surrounded by an ivory frame. Over this ivory frame, we are winding the insulated copper wire into number of turns. One end of the copper wire is attached to this phosphor branch wire. Other end, it is at the down, which is connected to other terminal like this. Here we used phosphor branch wire. This phosphor branch wire is having more Young's modulus and less rigidity modulus. More Young's modulus will help for non-elongation of the wire, due to the weight attached over here, this wire's length is not going to change because it is having more Young's modulus. At the same time, it is having less rigidity modulus, so it can be twisted very easily. It can be twisted very easily without a torsion. Without a torsion, it can be twisted very easily. So the purpose of pass forward branch is not to provide the elongation for the pass forward branch wire, but to provide easy twist in the wire. Even for a small deflecting force, it gets a twist. In order to provide some magnetic field here, we will take a specially designed horseshoe magnet. We will take a specially designed horseshoe magnet like this. This horseshoe magnet generally will have pole pieces in flatter surface like this. If pole pieces north and south are flat to one another, or flat surfaces and parallel to one another, then lines of force will go like this. Then lines of force will go like this to form uniform magnetic field. To form uniform magnetic field. But in this case, we take the pole pieces in concave shape. We take pole pieces in the concave shape. Always the line of force will move perpendicular to the surface. So line of force will go like this. Another line of force will go like this. Another full line of force will go like this. They provide some radial field. Radial field. This is north pole and south pole of the horseshoe magnet. Here no two lines of force intersect each other. They are actually crossing one another like this. They are looking like intersecting each other, but they are not intersecting each other. They are just crossing one another like this. The purpose of this field is to ensure maximum field at a single point, to ensure maximum strength of the magnetic field at a single point. Now, we will keep this soft iron cylinder. This cylinder is provided with soft iron. Why we are preferring soft iron, we will discuss in the next topic. Okay, soft iron is capable of generating magnetic field very easily inside it. Hence, we prefer soft iron cylinder. Over the soft iron cylinder, we are having a rectangular frame with non-conducting material like ivory. Over this rectangular frame, insulated copper wire, we are winding it into number of turns. One end of the wire is connected to the pass forward branch, other end is connected to a pass forward branch spring to a head like this. This setup is kept between the pole pieces of horseshoe magnet with concave surfaces, such that the maximum field is concentrated at the central part of the soft iron cylinder. And this pass forward branch wire is attached with a small mirror strip, concave mirror strip, to observe the deflections. This entire arrangement is kept in a evacuated chamber or air-free chamber. Evacuated chamber or air-free chamber. Because external air may influence the motion of this arrangement. So this is the simple construction of the moving coil galvanometer. So this is a torsion head. This is a phosphor branch wire. This is a concave mirror strip. These are horseshoe magnet with curved pole pieces. Horseshoe magnet with curved pole pieces. So it is a soft iron cylinder. This is ivory frame over which copper wire is, insulated copper wire is wound into number of turns. So this is a evacuated chamber. This is a chamber to protect the entire instrument. So the purpose of the curved pieces of the magnet is to provide the radial field to ensure maximum field at a center point of the soft iron cylinder. So whenever we send a small amount of current through this phosphor branch wire, whenever we send a small amount of current through phosphor branch wire, so this current will go through the rectangular coil. Once the rectangular coil is allowing the current to pass through it, it is already under radial magnetic field. It experiences some deflection torque. Deflection torque make this rectangular coil to twist itself. Because of the rigidity modulus, due to the property of elasticity, again it will turn back. Due to this, it executes some oscillations here. Those oscillations can be observed through this mirror strip. Those oscillations can be observed through this mirror strip by an arrangement called lamp and scale arrangement. Lamp and scale arrangement. This arrangement consists of a retard stand provided with a scale, and above to the scale one lamp is attached. Above to the scale some lamp is attached like this. So light rays will go and fall here. Here the readings are like mirror image, inverted, laterally inverted scale it is. If you observe a scale in mirror, how the readings will look like, in the same way they were printed here, and it is provided with some telescope. It is provided with some telescope. This is the eyepiece of the telescope. So we are observing the readings through this telescope like this. Now the light rays which are reflecting from the scale, they will fall onto the mirror. They which are reflecting from the mirror strip, they will enter into the telescope. They will enter into the telescope. So through the telescope we will observe the actual scale arrangement, because already inverted readings are available on the scale. Those inverted readings are observed through the mirror. So the image of the mirror is having actual scale like image. Okay, whenever this rectangular coil is making some oscillations, we are sending the current for a fraction of time. Within the fraction of time, some torque got developed here. The developed torque itself will make the coil to twist, and because of the elasticity it gains some restoring torque. The restoring torque and deflecting torque, they balances each other to keep this coil under oscillations. So you can observe the image of the scale through this mirror strip using this telescope. By observing the angle through which it is rotated, you can calculate the angle of twist due to the passes of current through the moving coil galvanometer. It's a most sensitive instrument. We should not send the current for long time. Whenever you send current for long time, more heat gets developed here. As the phosphor branch wire is a sensitive wire, it will break up because of the heavy heating. So we have to send the current for a fraction of time. Within the fraction of time, it will get some deflecting twist, and the restoring twist due to elasticity make the coil to oscillate. Those oscillations can be observed through this telescope, which helps us to find angle of twist. By finding the angle of twist, we are able to measure the amount of current which causes the deflection in the moving coil galvanometer. Let us understand the mathematical theory here. Very, very simple. Let us understand the mathematical theory here. It is very, very simple. Here there are two torques available. One is deflecting torque. Second one is restoring torque. The deflecting torque is like this. The deflecting torque is given by the formula BIAN. B is the strength of the magnetic field available here. With the help of Gauss meter, we could be able to find the strength of the magnetic field. Current is the required quantity that is to be found. A means area of the coil. By multiplying length and to breadth, you will get it. N is the number of turns of the copper coil we wounded over the rectangular frame. So this is the deflecting torque. The restoring torque is proportional to the angle of twist. If the coil is twisted through more angle, more restoring torque has to get produced here. So theta is angle of twist. Angle of twist. This restoring torque is given by some constant C into theta. This constant is called restoring constant. It is independent of it depends on the material of the wire. Okay. Now, if we equate the deflecting torque with the restoring torque, then current passing is given by C by BAN into theta. This constant C is the constant of the wire used here. Generally we use pass forward branch wire. For pass forward branch wire, we can calculate this proportionality constant C value. So by knowing C value, by knowing the strength of the magnetic field and area of the coil and number of turns, you will get I is equal to some constant K into theta. Since K is equal to C by BAN, this is called galvanometer constant. K is called galvanometer constant. By calculating galvanometer constant and by calculating angle of twist with the help of lamp and scale arrangement, we could be able to find the strength of current that causes the deflection in the moving coil galvanometer. Okay. So this is the way of calculating current passing through the moving coil galvanometer. What are the disadvantages of this? You cannot measure more amount of current. You cannot send current for more time. It is a more sensitive instrument, so we should handle it carefully. Okay. And the pass forward branch wire is very, very costly wire, and it is more sensitive wire. We should take all the precautions before using this instrument for measurement of current. It is able to measure a small amounts of current of the order 10 power minus 9 amperes. The principle behind here is, whenever you send current, the current passing through the rectangular coil, which is getting some deflection because of the magnetic field. The torque experienced by the rectangular coil made it to twist, and the elasticity property of the wire made it to get restoring torque. So the deflecting torque and restoring torque both are making the coil to oscillate. Oscillations are observed through mirror with the help of lamp and scale arrangement. So this is the way in which we will find the strength of current using moving coil galvanometer. And here in lamp and scale arrangement, in order to find the angle of twist, generally from the mean position, if you observe the oscillations through a distance like this, distance d like this, distance d like this, they are making some angle here, theta. So this distance is nothing but r, average distance between the mirror and this one. Arc length is equal to 2d is equal to r theta. So theta can be found with the help of 2d by r. So by using this formula, we could be able to find theta. We could be able to find theta. So Once you go through the textbook and read the merits and demerits of this moving coil galvanometer and try to remember those formulae for solving problems. Now let us understand sensitivity of moving coil galvanometer. Already we discussed the concept of current sensitivity and voltage sensitivity in the concept of conversion of galvanometer into voltmeter and galvanometer into ammeter. Once again, I just simply revise that idea. Sensitivity means by sending a small amount of current, a large deflection is observed in the moving coil galvanometer. Hence, it is a more sensitive instrument. Generally, sensitivity we are measuring as current sensitivity as well as voltage sensitivity. What do you mean by sensitivity? By sending a small amount of current, you are getting a large deflection. A small input leads to a large output. Small input leads to large output. Such a phenomenon is called sensitivity. Here we will have current sensitivity as well as voltage sensitivity. Current sensitivity. Current sensitivity means we have the formula I is equal to C by BAN into theta. C by BAN into theta. I is equal to. So current sensitivity is measured like this. Theta by I is equal to BAN by C. If you send 1 milliamp or 1 unit current, either 1 ampere current, the deflection produced by sending unit current through the coil is called its current sensitivity. Generally we send current of the order microamperes or nanoamperes. 1 unit current is sent. By sending 1 unit current, the deflection produced is called current sensitivity. Similarly, we may calculate voltage sensitivity also. Voltage sensitivity. In case of voltage sensitivity, deflection produced by sending unit voltage current. Voltage can be calculated by taking the product of current into resistance. Here G is the resistance of galvanometer coil. Resistance of coil of the galvanometer. So, theta by Ig is the voltage sensitivity. That means BAN by Cg is called voltage sensitivity. How to define voltage sensitivity? By sending current through 1 volt potential difference, the deflection produced in the coil is called its voltage sensitivity. Sometimes they will give problems based on current sensitivity and sometimes on voltage sensitivity. If you understand the concept of sensitivity, you can solve any problem by using this formula. So this formula is very, very important formula. This formula is very, very important formula. Now, based on these ideas, let us solve 1 or 2 problems. Let me take one problem based on these ideas. The problem says like this. Question. The area of a coil in MCG means moving coil galvanometer, is 16 centimeter square, and has 20 turns. The magnetic induction is the magnetic induction is 0.2 Tesla, and the couple per unit twist and the couple or torque, you can call anything, unit twist, couple per unit twist of the suspended wire is 10 power minus 6 Newton meter per degree. If the deflection is 45 degrees, calculate the current passing through it. Calculate the current passing through it. So this is the question. So what is the data given to us, and in which way we need to solve this question? Let us see. Very simple. The data given to us, first of all they gave the area of the coil. Area generally we designate with 16. To convert it into MK system, 16 into 10 power minus 4 meter square. Area of the coil is given to us. Then strength of the magnetic induction field B, 0.2 Tesla. They gave couple per unit twist. Couple per unit twist. Couple per unit twist. Couple means force into distance by angle. Couple per, that is nothing but torque. Per twist means theta. Tau by theta value they gave it as 10 power minus 6 Newton meter per degree. Per degree. Okay. Deflection produced is 45 degrees they gave. Calculate the current through it. We know that I is equal to K theta. I is equal to C by BAN theta. I is equal to C by BAN into theta. This is the formula known to us. Actually, what is C here? A restoring twist is equal to some T theta, C theta. Then restoring twist by theta is C only. It is nothing but the value of C. This is nothing but the value of C. So, I is equal to C value, they gave it as 10 power minus 6. B value 0.2. Into area 16 into 10 power minus 4. Number of turns 20 they gave. That also we should mention here. Number of turns 20. So 20 into deflection produced is 45 degrees. Because it is given for 1 degree, degree gets cancelled. 45 degrees. Now, if you simplify this, you will get some 7 into 10 power minus 3 amperes. 7 into 10 power minus 3 amperes. The purpose of telling this problem is the couple per unit twist. Couple per unit twist is nothing but restoring torque by angle of twist is called couple per unit twist, which is nothing but C. To identify this factor in the problem, I just gave this problem. I hope you understood the solution. Let us do one more problem based on this. Here the problem says, the question says like this: a coil of area a coil of area 100 centimeter square having 500 turns carries a current of 1 milliampere. Carries a current of 1 milliampere. It is suspended in a uniform field of induction. It is suspended in a uniform field of induction 10 power minus 3 Weber per meter square. Its plane makes an angle of 60 degrees with the lines of induction. Find the torque acting on the coil. Find the torque acting on the coil. This is the question given to us. If you read the question, the solution is quite simple. You try it once. As per the question, the data given to us, let us summarize here. The first one is area of the coil, that is 100 centimeter square, that is 10 square into 10 power minus 4 meter square, that is nothing but 10 power minus 2 meter square. Number of turns, n is equal to 500 they give. Carries a current I is equal to 1 milliampere, that is equal to 10 power minus 3 amperes. It is suspended in a uniform magnetic field of induction. B is equal to 10 power minus 3 Weber per meter square or Tesla, you can write. Its plane makes an angle 60 degrees with the lines of induction. Generally, if we take the coil, this is the magnetic field. The normal to the surface of the coil n cap, this is the theta we are considering. While calculating torque is defined as I into A bar cross B bar into n. Here A bar is the area of the coil. A is the area, length into breadth. Area is given by length into breadth. A bar is given by length into breadth into n cap. N cap is the unit vector along the normal to the coil. N is the number of turns of the coil. B is the strength of the magnetic field. So this torque can be calculated by using this formula. So if you expand this, torque is given by BIAN sin theta. Theta is the angle between field and the normal. But they gave here the plane of the coil makes 60 degrees with the lines of induction. Plane of the coil makes 60 degrees with line of induction. We need angle with normal. They gave angle with plane. They gave this angle as 60 degrees. So theta 60 degrees plus theta will be 90 degrees. The theta means the theta what we required. They gave some theta dash value. So then theta is equal to 30 degrees. That you should consider. You should be careful. The angle what we defined in the formula is the angle made by the field with the normal of the coil. They gave angle made by the plane of the coil with field. So torque acting on the coil is nothing but BIAN sin theta. They gave B value 10 power minus 3. I value they gave it as 10 power minus 3 again. Area of the coil they gave it as 10 power minus 2. Number of turns of the coil as 500. Sin 30. Sin 30 is 1 by 2. So it becomes 250. So 250 into 10 power minus 8, or you can write 2.5 into 10 power minus 10. Torque is Newton meter. Torque is defined as force into distance. So answer for the question is 2.5 into 10 power minus 10 Newton meter. Very, very simple. You should be careful while considering the theta value for solving the problem. One important note we should observe here. Already we calculated magnetic induction due to a solenoid. Solenoid means a wire in the form of this helical shape. This is called solenoid. The solenoid consists of total n turns in L length. Then the number of turns per unit length is given by n by L with a letter small n. Whenever we send current to pass through it, a uniform magnetic field, almost uniform magnetic field is developed in the core of the coil, and we calculate the strength of this magnetic field by using the concept of Ampere's circuital law. But only a specific condition we solved by using Ampere's circuital law. Now here we should understand a general formula. Suppose in a solenoid, the solenoid is like this. I am observing the cross section of the solenoid. These are the circular cross sections of each and every wire. This is called axis of the solenoid. At a particular point inside the solenoid, suppose P is a point at a particular location on the axis of the solenoid. If you join this particular point with the two ends of the solenoid, if this end is making an angle alpha, if one end is making an angle alpha, the other end is making an angle beta, here like this angle beta like this. Okay, beta is the total angle made by the other end and point connecting line with axis. Now you want magnetic field at this point. The general formula for the magnetic field you can derive by using the method of integration, by using Biot-Savart law or Ampere's law. The general formula is mu naught Ni by 2 into cos alpha minus cos beta. Cos alpha minus cos beta. So this is the general formula. In case of infinite long solenoid, case 1, infinitely long solenoid, then alpha tends to 0, beta tends to 180. alpha tends to 0, beta tends to 180. Because beta value is almost, when you consider the length of the solenoid as infinity, this line is almost in coincidence with this line. Hence beta tends to 180 and alpha tends to 0. Then what will happen to this field? B is equal to mu naught Ni by 2 cos 0 minus cos 180. Cos 0 is 1, cos 180 is minus 1, minus of minus 1 plus 1. So B is equal to mu naught Ni by 2, 1 minus of minus 1, totally plus 2, 2 gets cancelled. B is equal to mu naught Ni. In terms of capital N, mu naught capital Ni by L. This is the formula for magnetic field due to infinite long solenoid. Case number 2. Case number 2. Field at the edge point, either at this point or at this point. Field at edge center. So in this case, if the point is located here, if you take, it is having infinite length. Solenoid is of infinite length, but at this point you need, then beta will be pi by 2, alpha tends to 0. For infinite solenoid, for infinite solenoid, beta is pi by 2, because if the point is here, this is beta, this end, other end is like this, alpha tends to 0. Then the general formula B is equal to mu naught Ni by 2 into cos 0 degrees minus cos pi by 2. Cos 0 is 1, cos 90 is 0. So B is equal to mu naught Ni by 2. Or you can write mu naught capital Ni by 2L as the formula for this. You can verify the derivation for this formula in various books, including our integrated material. But try to remember this formula. At any point you can measure the magnetic field, but you should know the angle made by that point with this end and this end. I just considered 2 points, at a midpoint and at an edge point. At an outside point if you want, and then again you take alpha and beta values. According to that you substitute alpha and beta, so you will get the answer. Okay. Then this is a point you should remember while solving problems related to solenoid. Please make a note. One more problem. A charged sphere of mass m, a charged sphere of mass m and charge q, starts sliding from rest. Starts sliding from rest on a circular track of radius r, on a circular track of radius r, from the position as shown in figure. From the position as shown in figure. There exists a uniform and constant. There exists a uniform and constant magnetic field of induction B. Find the maximum force exerted by the track on the sphere. By the track on the sphere. The question figure is like this. Initially, here is the charged sphere. It is having mass m, charge q, and is released from this position. Later on it reaches this position, finally it reaches this position. Here there is a magnetic field of strength B. Suppose initially it is here, after some time it makes an angle theta like this. Finally the theta becomes 90. Here magnetic field is out of the paper. Magnetic field is in this entire zone. Magnetic field is out of the paper. And radius of the circular track they gave it as r. Radius of the circular track they gave it as r. Now you are asked to find. The maximum force exerted by the track on the sphere. Maximum force exerted by the track on the sphere. Okay. Now listen, read the problem carefully and try to answer it. It's a very, very simple problem. Solution. If you observe clearly, this charge is moving in the downward direction, means the current is going in the downward direction. Magnetic field is out of the paper, so it experiences a force. Current is downwards, magnetic field is out of the paper, it experiences a force in this direction. So the force experienced by it due to the magnetic field is given by BVQ, is given by BVQ. Q is the charge, V is the velocity, B is the strength of the magnetic field. The force due to magnetic field is PVQ in this direction. Actually, at a particular moment, if you observe, if m is the mass, m can have mg as one component. So mg can have, if you resolve it into two components, as this angle is theta, as this angle is theta, its perpendicular is this, its perpendicular is this angle will be theta. So this is mg sin theta. It is in this direction. Force due to magnetic field Fb is also in this direction. Normal reaction N will be in this direction. Normal reaction given by the track, circular track on the body. N will be in the upward direction. So now the normal reaction is counterbalanced by whom? Mg sin theta as well as field due to magnetic field, or force due to magnetic field. Force due to magnetic field plus mg sin theta. This is the force in the backward direction. This is the force in the forward direction. N minus this one is the net force. This net force is acting as centripetal force. mv square by r. mv square by, here radius they gave it as capital R. radius they gave it as capital R. You are asked to find the maximum force exerted by the track on the sphere. That means nothing but you are asked to find the normal reaction. Normal reaction is equal to Fb plus mg sin theta plus mv square by r. Fb plus mg sin theta plus mv square by r. Now, Fb value individually you can calculate as BVQ. They just gave strength of the magnetic field is B only, charge on the particle is Q only, velocity of the particle is V. Okay. So it is BVQ plus mg sin theta plus mv square by r. You are asked to find the maximum force. N maximum they are asking. Normal reaction depends on whom? Normal reaction depends on the theta value. When theta becomes maximum, normal reaction also gets, because B fixed, V, Q, all are fixed quantities. Here theta is the variable. When theta becomes 90, sin theta gets maximum value, then N gets, theta maximum is observed when theta is equal to 90 degrees. When theta is equal to 90, you can observe the maximum normal reaction. And here the body starts from rest. It gains a maximum speed once it comes here. You know that V is equal to root 2 gr will be the speed at the bottom of the circle. Here entire potential energy is converted as kinetic energy. Potential energy is mgr, which is converted as half mv square. So mm gets cancelled. V is equal to root 2 gr. Here it possesses potential energy. Once it comes here, it gets kinetic energy. So V maximum is observed here. The V maximum value is root 2 gr. So N maximum can be calculated by taking BV maximum Q plus mg sin pi by 2 plus mv maximum square by r. So BQ into root 2 gr plus mg plus m by r into 2 gr. RR gets cancelled. It is 2 mg plus mg. So 3 mg plus BQ of root 2 gr. 3 mg plus BQ of root 2 gr will give the N maximum value. This is the required answer for the given question. Once again I am saying, when the particle is released from rest, it possesses which energy? Potential energy. Once the particle reaches to this point, it possesses which energy? Kinetic energy. By equating the potential energy means mgh. H means height, nothing but radius. Mgr is equal to half mv square. We get the maximum speed attained by the particle. Once it attains the maximum speed, once it reaches to the end of the circular track or semicircular quarter circular track, you will get a maximum normal reaction. So the maximum normal reaction is given by this formula. So this is about today's lesson. You just follow